Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that prides itself on being too slow to enter the pit lane.
Or rather, at the right speed to enter the pit lane, and then just too slow when you get there.
I'm not in the right lane.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the podcast that suddenly sees it will be out of work next year.
Oh, that death stare in Bottas's eyes on the podium.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the podcast that has never recorded with less power in our lives.
I don't care, I'm off to Indy.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake, the F1 podcast that struggles with its rear end.
I have just been in Italy for 2 weeks. My rear end has gone fatter than the tyres.
Welcome to For Formula One's Sake.
What?
No.
It's not disgusting to think of my large arse. Now I put it like that.
I'm Cheeka, and today, from a real-life pub in London Bridge, we're going to talk about how Vettel won, everyone was pissed off at Hamilton, and Bottas was pissed off with everyone, and almost cried on the podium. Yes, it was the Bahrain Grand Prix. We're going to talk about all this and more. That's all to come. With me is a man who this week popped across the water for a schmuck and a pancake. It's Phill Tromans.
That's right, everyone. I went to Ireland. No, that's not right. I went to the Netherlands to drive a Toyota Yaris.
Oh, I used to have that car.
You didn't have this one. This is the new one.
Oh.
Imagine if you've got all the way to Amsterdam and they give you Cheeka's old car.
That would be... What would we find if it was...
Absolute wreckage.
So what's the new Toyota Yaris like?
It's all right. Second facelift of a 2011 model. It's got a new engine. 1.33 is out. 1.5 litres in. Bit more power. Buy a Fiesta.
What does the litres mean again?
Litre is the volume of the engine block. How much space there is inside the engine, how big it is, roughly equates to how much power it puts out. The bigger the engine, generally, the more power it puts out.
You really should know this, David.
I feel like I've learnt it before, but it's just gone.
And alongside him is a man who never wants to see another carb. It's Terry Saunders.
After 10 days in Italy of bread and pasta, and then just going for a drink, and they bring you aperitivo, which is a lovely thing where they just give you free food with a drink, and you go, oh, that's nice. I want to have some nuts and some bread, and have some little bits of pasta. I'll have another drink, please. Here's some more bread and pasta. Oh my god, I feel sick. I haven't shat for a week.
I understand you went by train.
I did go by train. It's a long journey, and from London to Paris, high-speed train, super quick. You're kind of chugging along, going, this is great. Then from Paris to, say, Lyon, super quick, high-speed, blah, blah, blah. Then you get to the Alps, and the train goes, oh, by the way, we're going at 1 mile an hour for the rest of the way now. So you're on Google Maps going, we're nearly there. And it takes like 7 extra hours.
To be fair, though, if you're going to be slow in a place, the Alps sounds beautiful.
Is there a tunnel, or do they just go over the top?
It goes round, I don't know, in and out, up and down. The worst thing is, I don't know if anyone else has this struggle, but when you're surrounded by beautiful scenery, you get used to it too quickly.
It's like here.
Yeah, it's like recording the podcast.
Yeah. Cheeka.
Oh, yeah.
Talking of beauty in one room, what have you been up to?
So I went home for the weekend to my extremely caring mother, who is a feeder, and she's been feeding me up, and I always go home with spare Tupperware for her to fill up with food. So they are all filled up and in my bag, and on the train here, which is 45 minutes from Winchester to here, I ate an entire Easter egg with all the accompanying chocolate and 2 Yorkshire puddings, and I started on the cauliflower cheese with my bare hands. So I disgust myself, and I am covered in it.
So can we do a live sort of what's Cheeka got in her Tupperware?
Chocolate-covered pretzels.
What the shit is this? Wow. Cheeka has just pulled from her bag milk chocolate bearing the face and emblem of the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Trump chocolate!
Is it made in America?
It's made in America. It may contain tree nuts. Nothing
But
about
American chocolate
penises.
is largely shit.
Like American presidents.
Boom!
So let's start with Listener's Corner. Now, the biggest news of the week, perhaps the season, and maybe even the decade, is that Fernando Alonso is going to do the Indy 500 instead of the Monaco Grand Prix. But we're going to talk about that in the State of F1. So let's move on to Scott Crawford's thought of the day. He said, let's have a sensible, rational discussion of how quickly we can get Charles Leclerc into the Ferrari. Phill, for anyone that missed it, what is he on about?
Well, we're going to start by going away from Formula 1 and talking about Charles Leclerc's performance in Formula 2, or GP2 as it used to be until this year.
Formula 2, it's called Formula 2.
It is now Formula 2. He had an absolutely storming drive in the sprint race. Basically, he pitted normally they don't pit in the sprint race because it's really short. So he pitted in the middle of the sprint race and came out sort of way down the field with 8 laps to go, and then sprinted through and won the race somehow. I think he came from like 15th or something like that.
Wow.
I can't remember exactly. It's probably not that high, but it was really impressive. He is a Ferrari junior driver, and you may remember he did a couple of practice sessions for somebody last year. I can't remember who it was.
Was it Toro Rosso? Because wasn't he
Rosso.
expected to get the Toro Rosso driver over?
No, that was Pierre Gasly. Or was it? Yeah, I thought Pierre Gasly was going to go. It's one of them. Anyway, he's a Ferrari guy, not a Red Bull Toro Rosso guy. Anyway,
good point.
He's done exceedingly well, and Scott wanted to know, is he likely to get into a Ferrari? Because let's face it, Raikkonen not exactly covering himself in glory so far this season. To which I say, no, probably not, but he might be in Haas if Kevin Magnussen doesn't pull his finger out.
I think Raikkonen's going to be gone next year, and I think maybe Grosjean in the Ferrari.
But haven't we said that for like the last 2 years?
Well, because they keep re-employing Raikkonen. What are they doing?
Well, this is the firm
He's
that
adorable.
a couple of years...
He's a friendly guy that everyone just wants to work with.
But he's not a very fast racing driver. And also, I mean, we've said that unless this is a team that paid him not to race a few years ago, for a year, they said, we'll give you your money, just don't come in.
And then he was all exciting in his rally, and then he went back to Lotus, and it was like, oh, look, he's good. Now he's gone back to Ferrari. He was just grumpy.
He's always grumpy. He's not very good.
So what you're saying is that this Leclerc could be filling his place after this performance?
Well, Scott's asked that question and said, how quickly can we get him in there? I think he needs to do more Formula 1 before he goes into a Ferrari. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe he goes into a Ferrari feeder team, which at the moment is basically Haas, isn't it? Haas.
Hayes.
If... I think Grosjean's probably quite well in there, but if Magnussen doesn't pull his finger out, maybe we could see him in next year. Or maybe we could see him do some more practice sessions, because he did look absolutely tremendous in that F2 race. And if anybody is probably on YouTube, go and have a look. It's really good.
Mike Richmond, however, is having an existential crisis. He said, F1's really boring every year, isn't it? The only competitive time I remember since 1990, that's when I was born, was the first part of 2012. No idea why I still watch it. Is it really boring?
Yeah, no-ish, kind of.
It depends what you're looking for.
Are you looking for A, excitement, B, shit out of luck?
Not excitement.
There's a lot of it.
It's right sport for you.
There we go.
I can't remember who was listening. It might have been another podcast, but probably a much more sensible one, that was talking about this. And it's sort of like the difference between football and basketball. Like basketball, there's goals and nets, or whatever they call them in basketball, all the time.
Hoopla.
To the point where it's
hoopla.
just like...
It's a hoopla!
Everyone together goes,
I thought
hoopla!
it was that.
There's points scored in basketball all the time, to the point where it doesn't really mean anything. And likewise, if you go to something like touring cars, there's excitement all the time, it's overtaking, but to the point where it doesn't really mean anything. Whereas football, you can have a really exciting 1-0 game. You can also have very boring 1-0 or 0-0 games. But F1 is a bit more like football in that, okay, you don't get quite so many overtakes, but when you do get them, it's exciting. That's my thoughts. So if you don't like that kind of ethos in your sport, maybe F1 is not for you. You should go and watch touring cars.
I think we're measuring it wrong. I don't think overtakes are the metric we should be using. I think it should be cars hounding other cars. Because you can have a car hounding the car in front for 10 laps, and that's thrilling.
Well,
and then,
sometimes.
Well, if it works. And that can be thrilling. And then if it overtakes at the end, that's one overtake. That's great. Or you can have 10 overtakes in 10 laps as they DRS each other all the time. That's less interesting.
I think it should be counted on not on the final result not being what you'd expect. I think as soon as it becomes the result you'd expect is dull.
Well, it depends on the journey and how you got there, really. I mean, there's been plenty of results last season where it was Mercedes 1-2 and yada yada, but it was really exciting. So I'm not sure I entirely agree, but I sort of see what you're saying. It's nice to have things shaken up a bit, but if you've got sort of expectations and then they're messed with a little bit, it's more fun. F1.
Ryan Simpson is asking the big questions. He says, is it too early to say that Bottas definitely isn't getting another season at Mercedes? Also, who has the best hair in Formula 1? Number one, I think it's too early.
Yeah, too early.
It's too early to discuss hair because they've been at 2 very sweaty races. It's not fair.
There's been some bad hair, hasn't there?
Yeah, that's not on. But Bottas, definitely not be there next year.
Do you reckon?
Wow,
you're going there already?
Yeah.
I'm not calling it yet. I'm going to wait until mid-season break before I cast him out.
More importantly, Phil, what about hair, though?
Who's got the best hair?
Vettel's got shit hair.
Well, let's go through the grid slowly and picking highlights and maybe not doing all of them before the producer gets fed up with
Matt
us.
says no. Okay, I'm going to say...
Hamilton?
Pascal Wehrlein's got the...
Hamilton's got dreadful hair.
Pascal Wehrlein's got the best everything. Full stop. The end. Thank you.
Stop it. Stop this favouritism. I think Sainz has got the best hair. That's it.
Wow.
No arguing. Next. Wes Paul Stop says, I would like to give a shout out to Massa. I think he was driver of the day. Not just because he got 6th, but because he was consistently running with the Red Bulls and Kimi and throwing in some cheeky overtakes when they were busy fighting with each other. A great, experienced attacking drive from Felipe. Great to watch and not half bad for a retiree. Do we agree?
God, I think I do.
Do you?
I know.
You think Massa driver of the day?
I just think he was...
You always slag off Massa.
I know. But you know me, I love an underdog, and the fact he's retired and come back, suddenly he's kind of reset himself.
But you hated the fact that he'd come back.
Yeah.
Just don't question me,
You
Phil.
started the season
You made
with...
him the underdog.
Look, just...
You're like the British press.
Yeah, but he's against... I am the British press,
You
right?
build him up and smash him down, but you do it the wrong way around.
I smash
You
him down
smash him
and
down and build him up again.
You know, against Bottas, he was made to look pretty ordinary, but now Bottas has got a pole position against Hamilton. You go, oh, maybe Bottas has got quick one-lap speed. And then Stroll is just being so laughably awful at the other car.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
I know, but it's like Massa is just doing the job, isn't he? Like that Williams can't get any higher than 6th unless one of the cars go out in front. It's not
Is
going
it to the point now where we're giving Driver of the Day awards for people doing what they were supposed to do? He didn't fuck up.
But that's achievement in general, isn't it?
That's really what Formula One is
in
about,
my
though,
life,
isn't it?
yes. If I don't fuck up, I consider it a good day. But if I was a Formula One driver, I
mean,
want a
that
little
would
bit
make-
more than just doing what you're paid millions to do.
That would be a better podium interview. So, Sebastian, you really enjoyed that race. What happened? Well, I just didn't fuck up. I did my least fucking up ever, and here I am, won the race.
Massa did fine.
Okay, let's have fine driver of the day. Pascal Wehrlein. Hey.
Vernon Moon said, is Alonso going to suffer engine trouble every race that he makes it into the penultimate lap? Discuss.
Well, it's not every race makes it to the penultimate lap. It's every race. Full stop. In that sentence there, yes.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's a Honda engine, you automatically think, well, of course it's going to blow up. I haven't heard an official reason as to why Alonso stopped this time. Basically, he seems to wait, and in fact, didn't he do this in the last race as well? He waits till he gets up, till he can't hold on to his out of position anymore. Somebody overtakes him, he goes, oh, the engine's tired.
Oh, do you reckon that's what it is?
Nobody.
So
I've been
do you
reading all the
think-
McLaren stuff, and they've just said, oh, Fernando reported a problem with the car, and we're still investigating what it was.
So hang on, are you saying, because like Honda have said this weekend that they don't actually know some of the problems that affected Stoffel's car as well, that they're actually confused, which is really confidence
Terrible,
building.
yes.
But do you reckon actually maybe just Alonso, maybe the engine's fine, and Alonso's just
I'm
like, "Oh, fuck it with you.
speculating mad.
Turn the engine off.
Well, no, because
It's just broken again. Oh.
it's sort of the engine that cried wolf, in that it just broke down so many times that maybe it
is a shit engine,
Maybe
though.
it didn't actually break down this time, and Fernando just got absolutely fed up with it and just said, "Fuck it, it's broken. I'm out." And who are we to argue because it has broken down so many times before?
You know they've got those little
Just
screens.
a suggestion.
You know they've got
lawyers.
little screens on the steering wheels now. I reckon Fernando has hacked his so that he gets the TV coverage, and then after he's got some good coverage, he's like, "Well, I'm done. I'm out of here. There's no point finishing the race."
I think Chandon have got their their money's worth.
It's good. I just like everyone's saying I'm great. Time to go.
So in other news, Susie and Toto Wolff have had a baby boy called Jack. I think after a name like Toto Wolff, I'd expect something a lot more exciting than Jack.
Toto and Susie, they live in Switzerland where they speak German. Surely it would be Yak, because the
they've had a
Germans
yak.
pronounce their J's like Y. So surely he'd be called Yak Wolf, or Wolf even. Yak Wolf.
Jack Wolff.
I was hoping, I think it was Jenny Gow on Twitter from Radio 5 said, what names, before they announced the name, said, what names should we give him? And there were some very good suggestions. I came up with Air.
Airwolf.
Yeah. Somebody else came up
Cheeka.
with...
In the 80s, that was a TV program.
It was a very good one as well, with a really good theme tune
It was
about,
about a helicopter. It was about a talking helicopter with David Hasselhoff. Is that right?
I don't think it was David Hasselhoff, but it was basically Knight Rider with a helicopter.
A Knight Rider is just like Airwolf, but with a car.
It was a lot like Street Hawk. Remember Street Hawk? That was a lot like Knight Rider and Airwolf, but with a motorbike.
Spangles. Fizzy Chewits.
In more other news, whoever wrote this is obviously feeling a bit maternal. Claire Williams is also pregnant and due in October. So what is going to happen to Williams when she's on leave?
I'm going to guess
reckon
they're
she
going
won't
to
take leave.
I'm going to. Well, yeah, she's pretty feisty, so I think she'll just be like, "Come on, the mechanics come. My waters are broke. Get a cloth under here. Right, next."
like a pit stop.
Yeah.
2.6 seconds.
The DHL fastest birth of the year. Look,
When she's sort of about ready to give birth, and she's clearly not going to be able to go to all the races, they're going to bring in Alex Wirtz and Paddy Lowe, and this is going to be sort of running Williams by committee.
Oh,
is this
I
going
read-
to be problematic, do we think?
Or they could be on childcare duty.
Yeah, I read that as Alex Wirtz and Paddy Lowe were going to bring up the baby, like 3 men and a baby.
Maybe that is the
with Tom
case. Maybe
Selleck.
I've misunderstood it.
Thing is, Claire Williams in a rock and a hard place because obviously she's having a baby. She should take some time off, take some maternity leave, high-powered world of Formula One. But her dad has run that team from a wheelchair for the last 30 years, and he is notoriously hard. So you're not going to get him going, oh, you've got a bit of a bad back. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. I'm in a fucking wheelchair, bitch. Get that team run. I want 6th place for Massa, and if that Stroll doesn't get in it, then you can fucking kill him. I bet that's what Frank Williams is really like. Fucking kill him.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sir Frank, by the way.
Tell us how wrong we are. You can tweet us at For F1's Sake or find us on Facebook where we're FF1S, or you can email us at wrong@ff1s.com, like Mick did, who said, I just listened to the China episode waiting for the torrent of shit that is coming Max Verstappen's way after his laughable request for a blue flag. Are you guys really going to let him get away with that? Why did we let him get away with that?
Well, what happened to Max in this race? Crashed out? Coincidence?
We knew that was going to happen, so we'd
I think
save it.
we made that happen.
Terry, Phil, did you know that this episode of For F1's Sake is supported by Apex Race Manager?
Yes, I did, because we've discussed it just before recording.
I did know, I'd forgotten, and now I've remembered again.
Apex Race Manager is a strategy game for F1. You make decisions about pitting, tyre choice, driver aggression, whatever, to balance fuel use and lap times. Choose your race strategy, optimise your car and race all tracks in the season to win the championships. Now you guys have had a good play, haven't you?
And we've played Apex Race Manager as well. And I, for one, actually really enjoyed it. I had a lovely time.
So that was
I
our
did a full
secret.
season. I did quite well at Monaco. And then didn't do quite so well, but I was in a Sauber, or because they haven't got the official licenses, a saucer, as they call it.
I keep going for the Banzai strategy, so I just think, well, if everyone else is going to do 2 stops, I'm going to do 3. Turns out, I'm not the best strategist in the world.
And it is free to download, so why not show your support for us by downloading? You can find Apex Race Manager on the App Store or in Google Play now.
It is actually worth doing.
Why not?
That's a strapline. So let's talk about the teams and how they fared at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And we'll start with Ferrari. Vettel was the happiest he's been since 2013, and he's had 2 children in that time. Kimi stopped momentarily shouting and transformed into a pretty good driver. Then he started shouting again. What did you think about Ferrari this weekend?
Well, they're still quick. They won the race on merit. I mean, maybe Mercedes lost it more than they won it, but certainly they won.
How do you feel about the 5-second penalty? Do you think without that Hamilton would have won?
Well, I think it was more the pit lane, because the amount of time spent in the pits was something like 10 seconds less for Vettel in normal pit stops than it was for Hamilton. So
What
at a
happened
5-second
there? What
penalty.
happened?
I think
with
we'll talk
Mercedes?
more about this when we talk about Mercedes, but essentially Ferrari, well, I mean, it's like we were talking about earlier, Ferrari didn't fuck up. They've got a pretty quick car with a very quick driver in Vettel and a competent driver in Raikkonen, and they just did everything properly, and they got away with the unfortunate timing, or what could have been unfortunate timing, of the safety car for them because of Mercedes maybe not capitalising on it, and were quick enough to make it count. So I think they can be pretty pleased with themselves, but I'm still not entirely convinced that they are actually faster than Mercedes.
No?
But Kimi Raikkonen, Jesus Christ, right? I watched the Channel 4 coverage this week, and Mark Webber and David Coulthard on the grid caught him before the race.
Couldn't understand a word he
was
said.
so miserable.
He was so pissed off. Like, okay, I know that Kimi Raikkonen's been around for like 10, 15 years, whatever, and I know, isn't it hilarious, he's always grumpy. But this wasn't him being like monosyllabic kind of, oh, what a treat, he's eating an ice cream. This is someone in a bad mood, and he's like, oh, how are you going to do the race? And he's just basically there going, it's going to be shit, what's the point? I don't care. I think he's depressed. I think he's got a bit of like last year's Kvyat syndrome. I just think he needs a hug.
And
I think
Do you think he's going to get demoted to Haas?
I think they're going to pay him off again, but he just doesn't seem to try. That's the thing. Because for the last couple of years, there's been all this stuff about him of going, oh, the car doesn't suit him, so he can't do it. He likes to push in the corners or pull out the corners, whatever he fucking does. And the thing is, after like 3 or 4 years of this, it's just, I don't fucking care anymore.
But there were points during the race where he did some really good overtakes.
And he got the fastest lap near the end. So it's just like
he's got some skills.
How?
But
he just doesn't have consistent skills.
Yeah, you
doesn't have a good attitude.
Yeah, you want. If I was on the pit wall, I'd be like, Kimmy, I don't want you to do a fast lap near the end of the race. In fact, I'd rather you didn't, because that just embarrasses us that car was able to do that the whole bloody race. And now you're just popping it out because you're bored. Get bent.
There's a T-shirt.
Get bent, Kimmy.
All right, let's talk about Mercedes. Mercedes, the team where it doesn't matter if we come first, second or third, we're just all extremely happy for each other. What's that? A 5-second grid penalty that will mean sacrificing my opportunity of winning this crucial race? Well, come here and give me a hug. Bottas went from pole to a disappointing third. Is he angry? And who do you reckon he's most angry with?
It turns out that Mercedes had buggered their generator before the race and his tyres were overfilled.
So that's why he was so slow.
So that's why in the first stint he was so slow and he was holding everyone up, which conversely meant after Vettel had pitted and everyone went in the safety car, the rest of the team, the rest of the field was so backed up that Vettel could get in the lead. So it's all Bottas' fault. It's kind of all the generator's fault.
Which is a bit weird. Like, if the generator's not working, why does that mean his tyres were overinflated? Because surely all you have to do is just poke the valve and they'll...
Yeah, just untwist the thing.
I mean, I'll be honest, maybe there's more to it than I thought.
Is that why he had a 10-second pit stop?
No, that was... Well, this is the problem with Mercedes this race. It's no one thing. It was a load of things. It was the fact that for Bottas, his tyres were overinflated, and when your tyres are too hard, you get less grip and you skid around, which is why he had a skiddy rear end. FNAR. Then, obviously, Hamilton had his issue with going way too slowly in the pit lane, which wouldn't necessarily have been an issue if he'd have pulled over to the right on the pit lane, because there's sort of two little running areas. But he didn't, and so he blocked Ricciardo, so he got a penalty. Then they had a trouble with the wheel gun at that pit stop during that same pit stop when they both came in together, and so they had really slow pit stops. And then for some reason afterwards, again, Bottas was really slow, just couldn't get the handling of the car right. And it's just one thing after another for them this week.
Do you know what I think? I think Mercedes are in trouble. I think the last 3 years, basically, they've been fighting each other. It's been... it's been... What's his name and Lewis have been fighting each other. There's been no real competition. They've forgotten how to do it. They don't know how to deal with other people being that close to them. Because I think if this was last year and they had like a 3-second lead on everyone else just by that point in the race, all these pit stop screw-ups would have just been totally unnoticed because they'd still be out in the lead.
So you're saying it's Mercedes' fault and Bottas didn't have anything to do with it?
Well, it's difficult to know without knowing exactly what the problem was with Bottas' car later on in the race, wasn't it?
It does seem that Bottas had a bad early stint because of the generator problem. But at the same time, I don't really like him, so...
Is that it? You've written... he's in your hate column.
I'm going to say Alonso's going to be in that car next year.
What was interesting, I thought, is that
if he's not been killed at the Indy 500.
Jesus Christ, don't say that, because that might well happen. What I thought was interesting was that Mercedes took a while to get Bottas out of Hamilton's way when Hamilton was considerably faster, which was yet another thing that perhaps lost them time. That Hamilton was obviously just stuck behind Bottas for quite a while, and then when he eventually did get past, he just flew away from him. Like within a few laps, he was 10 seconds down the road.
I thought he moved over quite politely.
After holding Hamilton up for quite a long time. And if Hamilton had been released earlier, I mean, I know Mercedes are all about equality and not team orders and stuff, but when one of your drivers is so obviously struggling, surely you just let the other driver get past him and carry on.
But I've said this before, this is what we need in Formula 1, is some kind of emotion cam, because I want to see Bottas's face when he has to let Lewis through, because that is the most important thing when you want to see the tears in his eyes, as maybe even like a HoloLens thing where you can see him going, this is it, I'm fucked.
It'd be like space helmets in like sort of science fiction movies where for some reason they have lights in the top of their helmets that light up their faces so you can see the characters.
Yes.
Which in practice, if you were actually in space, would be a massive pain in the backside.
Yeah, but that is exactly what I want. I still go for completely clear helmets so you can see their whole face.
Or at the very least, you remember sometimes in Abu Dhabi, I didn't see it at this race. You remember Abu Dhabi a while back, they had the cameras in the cockpit because they had the clear visor, you could see their eyes.
Cry.
Bring those back.
Red Bull. This was a frankly embarrassing race for the Red Bulls. Verstappen's brakes failed, and then he had a hormone-fueled teenage strop, and Ricciardo couldn't do much, and he was held up in the pits. Do you reckon they're just nowhere near Ferrari and Mercedes?
Yes.
Not really, yeah.
And not just because this was a bad race, I mean, so far.
They're not.
they've bought a rubbish car this year. Now they're saying that for the Spanish Grand Prix, they're basically bringing a whole new car.
Oh, are they saying podium by Barcelona?
They're basically bringing Barcelona. They're saying that Renault have had to kind of downgrade their engine a bit this year, but they're testing the revised new engine at the test this week coming up. So there's a lot of hope and talk. But I find it hard to believe that a team that doesn't start well will end well.
It does almost seem like Adrian Newey phoned it in a bit this year. Maybe he's still all hung up on yachts and racing boats and stuff.
I reckon Adrian Newey brought in a yacht design and they went, no, this is a yacht, Adrian. But no one could tell him.
But more importantly than all of this, though, have you noticed on the screen, Vez is now Ver? When did that happen? Did that happen at the beginning of the season, or is this the first
I think
time?
it's been 3 years, isn't it?
No, it must be this season because Verstappen has always been VES.
No, but I think it's 3 years since Verne was in Formula One.
Well, this is it because I get really confused when I see VAR because I think Jean-Eric Verne is back.
Yeah, because I think with the driver numbers, I think they have 10 years. No, how?
Some years.
They have three. You know when I do that, when I sound like I know what I'm talking about, and then I suddenly hear myself and go, it can't be 10 years. No driver's going to take 10 years out and come back. Then they lose their number and it goes back into the pool. And I think it must be the same rule with the...
It's a bit confusing though. Why would they do it? And what was wrong with VES? And what happens if Jean-Eric Verne comes back? Because I'm sure we're all anxiously waiting for the return of Jev.
Yeah, he'll be JEV. That's a better word.
Maybe. That would be better actually.
Williams in Australia. He managed 40, China 4, and in this race, Stroll managed 12 laps. Massa came home in 6th, a good start, then spent most of the race at war with Raikkonen. Now, with this crash, I want to know what you think. Was it Stroll's fault?
Not at all.
The way I saw it, it seemed to be totally Stroll's fault.
Did you see it because you saw gorgeous, hunky Carlos Sainz taken out by the horrible billionaire
Lance
Stroll?
Yeah.
No, I thought this was absolutely, entirely Carlos Sainz's fault, and I can't believe he ever thought that move was on.
I, on the other hand, disagree. What was most telling to me is after it happened on the radio, Carlos Sainz came on and he had to get beeped out on the coverage because he said, fucking Stroll, which makes me think this is how they're all seeing Stroll as a liability. And if you see a liability in front of you, you crash into it. That's just how it works.
Well, I wonder if, as mentioned last week, this is all some sort of hustling bully kind of campaign against the rich new boy.
Do not let him finish a race.
It's Sainz and Perez are like a sort of gang that hangs out by the bike shed smoking, and they're just basically rinsed down Stroll. Stroll's come in with like a blazer on that nobody else in the school wears, even though it's officially part of the uniform, and they're just shaking him down for his lunch money. And because he didn't hand it over, he punted him off for the second race in a row. We're going to see who the bully gang is in Formula One.
Just give him your lunch money, Stroll.
Exactly. No, I can't see any other way.
Cheeka, you're advocating giving in to bullies. You've got to stand up to bullies.
As a bully,
I'm on Stroll.
You think Stroll's going to start just preemptively taking everybody else out?
Oh, that's what Maldonado. Maybe that was Maldonado.
No, Maldonado did it by mistake because he was crap. I reckon Stroll will do it deliberately. It'll be like Senna and Prost and Suzuka, whenever it was.
I don't like Stroll. In interviews, just don't like him.
Why don't you like him?
I don't know. He's one of those people who just, within the first few seconds of talking, don't like him. So,
Cheeka, you've been hanging out with me for too long because that's my
this
kind
is what I thought. I
gut
genuinely thought
reaction.
this is something Terry would do.
Reactionary. But it was entirely Sainz's fault, and the stewards agreed and have given Sainz a massive penalty for the next race.
And a mandatory haircut.
Yeah, he'll be shaved.
No.
And his head.
Oh no, someone listening can do some maths on Stroll because he's brought in a lot of money to Williams, but he's not scored any points in the first 3 races, and obviously you get money for points in Formula One. So at what point is he going to be worse for the team than better?
I'm not blaming him for the last 2 races at all.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about blame.
It's unfortunate bad luck. I
It
don't
doesn't
think
matter
anyone
about blame.
can.
He scored no points.
He's got way more than enough money to be able to cover everything.
Massa has scored points.
He's literally got billions of pounds.
Massa is cheap, and he scored points. They've got Massa for like a portion of chips and a burrito, and say, right, you have that. We'll feed you, and then just score some points. Every point's worth like 100,000 quid.
They've given him free daycare for his kid as well. I don't know if you saw Ted's notebook on Sky after qualifying, I think it was. Basically, little Massa was running around the pit lane with a couple of his little mates, and they're all like 7 or something, causing absolute havoc. And they interrupted Ted's notebook. It was really funny. Started hogging the camera.
Well, that's what they have hired, Lance Stroll. So he's also in the crash at every race.
Actually, yeah, thinking about it, Lance Stroll was running around in the background.
Yeah.
Sauber. Ericsson got in Vettel's way and then had a dodgy gearbox and had to bow out on lap 50-something. Wehrlein is back. He had a cracking qualifying and nearly got a point. Do you know what was wrong with our little Wehrlein?
Well, you've said it. He's back. Cracking.
It does seem I might have been a little bit hasty in condemning him last episode.
Well, he has just put some photos up of him in some like horrific-looking neck brace that is either one of three options. One, he had a really bad back and neck injury and that's why he didn't go for 2 races. 2, they went, people are saying that you didn't have a bad neck injury, let's put a neck brace on you. Or 3, he's just into some kinky shit. And he just likes...
Which one would you prefer?
1 and 3.
I do feel a bit bad because it does seem like perhaps maybe he did have a genuine injury and wasn't just wussing out like I insinuated last week. But I did say that, whatever the reason, sort of has a bit of a question mark over his name. That was a pretty good way of erasing that question mark by absolutely smashing Ericsson to the bit.
It's just a shame that him being absolutely amazing in a race got him 11th. Stood out the
But in a Sauber, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's great.
Force India. We have some reliable but dull point scorers on our hands here. Now, after a fairly disappointing qualifying, Perez and Ocon shocked us by coming home in the top 10. There was some excellent driving, and those 2 babes stuck 2 manicured fingers up at everyone, laughing at the fact they did it in pink cars. I like the fact they've got pink cars. I'm not.
Why
I'm not
are they
mocking that at
manicured?
all.
Babes?
It's a joke. It was a joke.
Did you?
Why are they babes?
Because they're in a pink car.
Have you checked they're manicured?
I
The
expect
slur?
they are. I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
I haven't thought. Do you reckon Formula 1 drivers have got manicures? I'd never
Yes.
given it a thought.
Some of them would. I bet Hamilton does.
Definitely.
Do you reckon Raikkonen gets a manicure?
I bet Hamilton's dog's got a manicure.
I bet Bottas is just there going, no, get off me.
He just literally uses like a bit of sandpaper to grind his fingernails down.
Yeah.
It's much like they did last year. They don't have a particularly good car, as qualifying showed. But as you pointed out, Cheeka, they somehow
nails.
got in the top 10. Perez particularly, to go from 17th to 7th, is probably my contender for driver of the day over Massa. And the obligatory Max Verstappen, who seems to win everything.
Let's have Hayes.
Hayes.
Grosjean scored his first point of the season. I can't really remember what he did during the race, except for he had a lovely start. Magnussen lost power in his reliable Ferrari engine and only lasted 8 laps. Could you please give me a more detailed description of how Grosjean did so well? Because I just can't remember.
Well, lights went out. He pressed the accelerator pedal,
Yeah?
brake and accelerator gears a few times.
Yeah.
He did a lot of driving.
And at the end of it, he was like 8th or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I wonder if car colours comes into play here because the pale pink of the Force India I seem to ignore, and the grey of the house I just don't even know it exists. It's just like goes in with the track.
Honestly, sat down and thought, okay, what are we going to say about Hayes? I couldn't even remember anything.
I'm
So-
reading some official race reports, and even after doing that, he did some driving and finished 8th.
Well
It's
done.
good.
We look
He
forward
clearly
to
didn't
Russia.
fuck up, which is the story of F1 this season.
Renault.
Here we go.
Hulkenberg has 2 points to show for last weekend, but is optimistically saying that he doesn't reckon they'll ever be able to compete with the likes of Red Bull and so on. I never think Palmer can get worse. Then he makes it look like he's getting better, then ends up being even worse. Can Hulkenberg ever do any better? And will Palmer stop ever disappointing us?
It depends how you define disappointing. Because I'm at the stage now where I would be disappointed if he does well.
Well, if you come to expect disappointment from him.
To stop disappointing us, he has to do well to be not disappointing.
Right.
Well, should we start with Hulkenberg?
Great guy.
Did well.
Won Le
I
Mans.
thought. Car is clearly not great, but he did well with it. Qualified very well. Finished in the points. Car is clearly not brilliant.
Do you reckon he could ever do better than that?
I think he's performing as well as the car will do at the moment. And he said himself, he reckons that was one of the, in the post-race interviews, he said he thought that was one of the best races he'd ever done in terms of getting the most out of the car. So I think he's making the car look all right.
Do you think he's regretting moving to Renault?
Maybe, but on the other hand, it's a factory team that if you were going to sort of put bets on the long haul, the Enstone-based team that was Lotus before, and then Renault, when it was Renault before, won 2 world championships. So
I think he's regretting in as much as...
where else is he going to go?
Well, I think he's regretting in as much as beforehand he probably was on like nodding terms to Joyless Palmer, like, all right, how you doing, mate? And now they're kind of teammates. He's probably just like, can someone just get this guy away from me?
But Palmer's making Hulkenberg look
Look
really
really good.
good.
I mean, there's that, but it's just like, God, can you just imagine being in a briefing with him? And he'd be like, right, guys, let's talk about the post-race briefing. Hulkenberg, you did well. And then Joyless would say, excuse me, can I just butt in here? I just want to know, that it wasn't my fault.
And I'm going to be a world champion.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault that I did badly.
My dad said I would be a world champion.
Yeah, my dad
he's got loads of circuits.
My dad owns Brands Hatch, so if you want to drive around Brands Hatch on a car day, you're going to have to go through me. I can get you 10% off.
Should we talk about Palmer?
Oh, what are
you going to say?
Fucking just stop it, you prick.
Hi to everyone at Renault who's listening at Enstone.
Everyone at Renault is going, I'm glad someone's saying it. When Jonathan Palmer's in the pits, we all just make tea because we're just like, oh God, he's going to bore us about tyre strategies. He's going to be there going, oh, what are the tyres you got today? He'll probably kick the tyres like he thinks that means something. It doesn't mean anything.
Just in momentary defence of Palmer, in qualifying, I was getting ready to write him off, and then he put in a really good lap and ended up getting through to Q3.
One good lap.
Yes, it did turn out to just be one good lap because then in Q3, I think Hulkenberg was like 1.2 seconds quicker than him. And obviously in the race, he was absolutely dead last. But he did finish the race. So...
Whoopie did.
Toro Rosso. Sainz got overexcited after the pit stop and overtook Stroll by attempting to go through his car. Kvyat drove well. And then when I thought that, I just thought, I'm so patronising. Are we always going to be patronising with Kvyat?
Look, we just need to be
He's our
careful
driver
with
of the
him
year
for 6 months, and then we can get harsh on him again. You know, I'm always happy to be harsh on any driver, but Kvyat, there's an embargo on Kvyat to at least mid-season.
What about Verline?
Well, there's no. What reason is there to be harsh on that?
Maybe he's too beautiful?
Good point.
It's weird with Kvyat. He was another driver I didn't really know. I noticed a couple of times him fucking up and going off the track at the start.
No.
Kvyat.
Embargo.
Sorry. Taking alternative aptitude.
That's better.
By taking unusual lines at the start of the race that may or may not have involved the track. Sainz, I don't know what he was thinking. And how on earth he tried to blame Stroll for it. No.
McLaren. It was a good race for fans of McLaren bingo. If you had multiple engine failures and bitchy radio messages on your card, then stand up, you're a winner. Van Dorn went for a run and Alonso nearly made the end of the race, which is pretty good. As we said, McLaren hasn't actually said what the problem was with Alonso's car, only that they are investigating. Alonso is now not only missing Monaco, but he's got his aunt's birthday for the Russian GP, and he rang me last night asking if I do a pub quiz on Sundays.
He is desperate not to race.
There are a lot of motorsport events around the world that he might suddenly decide I'm interested in the
lawnmower racing,
the octuple crown. Every race we're just like, oh, McLaren. They're not getting any better. They're getting worse. They had 4 power unit failures this weekend. They're only supposed to use 4 in the whole season.
It's hard to remember that at the end of last year, that car was getting half decent. Right?
It was less
midfield.
shit.
It was midfielding.
It wasn't decent.
It was but half decent.
Okay.
Half decent. It was regularly scoring points. It was kind of finishing races. And they went, don't worry, we've got a whole new engine. We're going to copy the Mercedes engine. That's amazing. It's going to be amazing. And can you remember that? I actually was excited a few months ago, thinking maybe they'll get back up to the. I didn't think they were going to be winning the
Podium by
championship,
Barcelona,
but I thought they were going to be like where Red Bull are now. And now it's just embarrassing to think, with all my knowledge of Formula One,
they're just getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting to the point where now they can't even start races.
It's just,
let alone get to the end of them. And who amongst us was not just waiting for Alonso's engine to go? Because I was like, any minute now it's going to go, and then it went. I was like, well, of course it did.
See, I'd rather they just turn the wick up on his full pedal.
Or just do qualifying laps for 3 laps and then explode.
Yeah, 4 laps and then just be gone. Because this idea of like turning it down and getting to nearly the whole way doesn't matter. You're not going to get any fucking points.
Even if it does get better now, they've creamed through so many bloody engines that they're just going to be drowning in penalties for the rest of the season anyway.
I think they should just stop for the rest of the season.
I think they should all go and do Indy.
Sort themselves out and then come back next year.
They should all go and do just all different race series for the rest of the year. All the staff, all the drivers, Button can do some rallycross with a McLaren branded Citroen or something.
Have we got a solution to their problems?
Yep.
Yep.
Time.
All of which leads us to the standings with Terry Saunders.
So in the lead of the championship is, I'm not doing no Indy, this is going too well. And in second place with 61 points is, the rest of the grid can fuck off to Indy, me and Seb are busy. Third place, might be driving Indy cars next season because I'm not going to have a job in Mercedes, 38 points. Fourth place, the team are begging me to do Indy, that's Kimi Räikkönen, 34 points. In fifth place, doesn't think he's old enough to do Indy, they've got a 21-year-old drinking rule. I'm not sure what the IndyCar is. And in 6th place, could I drink milk from a shoe? I'll give it a go. Carlos Sainz is scared that all think he's Mexican and make him do the dishes at Indy. And Sergio Perez, who is Mexican, is not fond of races with walls. Harsh. And in 9th place, Felipe Massa has already got his Indy pension scheme ready because he's already planning to do a few years there as a retired driver. And Kevin Magnussen's only joined the team to go to Indy. And Roman Grosjean doesn't like the new Indiana Jones film. Sorry, Roman, you didn't understand the question. In 12th place, what the fuck is Indy? Kavia asks, is it 500 miles or laps? Good question, Kavia. I'm glad you asked that, not me. In 14th place, I've already got one of the triple bitches. Yeah! And the Constructors' Championships. In the lead is 102 points. Is one of our drivers is Grumpy. In 2nd place with 99 points, one of our drivers is soon going to be unemployed. In 3rd place with 47 points, one of our drivers is lonely. In 4th place, one of our drivers is Mexican. 5th place, one of our drivers has just paid me to say he's actually quite great. That's Williams. 6th place, Toro Rosso. One of our drivers is just great. Won the award last year. 7th place, one of our drivers is Roman Grosjean. I was really struggling at this point.
Scraping.
It's good. And one of our drivers is a fucking tool. That's Renault with 2 points.
Now it is time for the 2017 FF1S Grand Prix Fantasy League powered by Grid Rival. And for the first time, we're going to go through the standings after the race of the 2017 FF1S Grand Prix Fantasy League powered by Grid Rival. Phil.
We've got a massive number of entries, actually, way more than we ever got last year for the one that wasn't powered by Grid Rival. But because this one is powered by Grid Rival, we have more than 200 people in the league, and it's not too late to join, and we'll give you details on how to do it shortly. Looking at the top 10 after 3 races, I'll do it in reverse order because why not? Number 10, these cars seem louder. Nicky Lauda. These cars seem louder.
Good name.
Good name.
Good name.
Number 9, Super Kamui.
Good name.
That's a good name. I miss Kamui Kobayashi.
I don't.
Number 8, Jam Sport Racing.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but I like Jam. Number 7, Chase Carey's moustache.
Do you reckon that really is Chase Carey's moustache?
Well, it's just sort of... Do you reckon he keeps it in a little hutch at night?
Just with an iPad.
Number 6, Mika's Mighty Racers. I presume...
Mika the pop singer.
I could be cool, I could be cool, I could be cool.
That one.
Can I just say, I'm getting really fucking sick of Mika Hakkinen.
Really?
Just keeps popping up, being all kind of like, I used to win, but I'm not here anymore. Just fuck off.
I quite like that.
Don't know.
Anyway,
piss me off.
Number 5, Peace and Furious, all in caps. Very furious. Number 4, Boutsen Racing.
Love Thierry Boutsen,
Yeah.
big fan of his. Canadian driver, loved him. Great. Better than Lance Stroll.
Pretty sure he's Belgian.
But definitely Belgian. He was definitely Belgian.
Hi Thierry, if you're listening, or bonjour, whichever sort of.
What if you're Canadian, you could.
Big
I mean, they're both
fan.
going to speak French a bit. Number 3, Spitfires and Dawn, definitely not from UKIP.
Yes,
because
we've had a
wrote
message.
in.
They wrote in to ask us to say, look, we said the other week that sounds like a UKIP-y kind of name, and it turns out they're not UKIP-y at all. They just like Spitfires.
Yeah. Number 2, Why So Serious?
All one word as well.
Is that a reference to Heath Ledger's Joker? Because that film is like 10 years old now. And at number 1, Testing 1 2 3.
Good
That's
work.
quite good because that works on a sort of microphone thing, but also on a sort of F1 testing.
Well
And there is
done.
more. We're not going to talk about it, I think, but there's more testing going on this week in Bahrain.
There is.
Anyway, well done. Testing 1 2 3.
Well done, all
Now
of them.
to the most important sub-league is how we're getting on in the 2017 FF1S Grand Prix.
Yes,
Fantasy
how
League
are we
powered
getting
by
on?
Grid Rival. It's really, really close, actually. Like, surprisingly, considering how many people are in the league. In 3rd place of us, Cheeka, nice Haas.
Thank you.
Just 49 points ahead is me with Tin Duck Racing on 15.01. And only 3 points ahead of me, in 23rd place, is Terry's Let's Get Fwonky
Let's get funky!
on 15.04. And between us, there's only 6 places separating us in the league. It's all to play for. You can still join our fantasy league because of clever maths. Doesn't matter that you've missed the first 3 races. There's like a thing that levels it out. So you can still enter and you could still maybe win, except you won't because we're going to win because we're the best. You can go to Terry.
Yeah, ff1s.com/Terry. What? Grid Rival. Grid Rival.
And one more time.
ff1s.com/Grid Rival. And can I just say, I've just done some contract renegotiations on my team, and we're looking pretty fly for the next race.
Shit, I need to do that for the next race. I've now got
Shit, I
three
reminded
drivers,
you.
three drivers out of
I
contract.
reminded you. No, shit, no,
need to decide who to
you've
go
done.
for.
It's fine. It automatically redoes it. It's fine.
All right, so let's have the state of F1, please, Terry.
Indy.
What's this about?
I'm going to say it 500 times. Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way first. Last week, I did a State of F1 all about what Fernando Alonso should do next. The point of my State of F1 is to propose a real-life F1 problem and then a silly, unworkable and totally unbelievable solution. And I'm gutted to say that not even I thought he'd be off to do the Indy 500. Now, he is doing it, and it raises some questions. This is a test, a big test for Liberty Media, perhaps their first proper test. Bernie has actually come out and said he wouldn't have let Alonso go to Indy, and surely if this had happened last year, Mystery would meet at some kind of punishment of sorts for daring to do anything that isn't Formula One. In fact, the Monaco Grand Prix weekend is scheduled where it precisely is to prevent this kind of behaviour. But now we have a new world order, an Alonso in an unwinnable car, and a great story for F1. But how are they going to make the most out of this? Firstly, the broadcasting rights are all over the shop. In the UK alone, we have the Monaco GP on Sky and Channel 4, but IndyCar's on BT Sport. I don't know how they're going to fix this, most likely huge amounts of money, but the Indy 500 has to be viewable by everyone who just watched the Monaco Grand Prix. Channel 4 can link to a special free presented by BT thing. They can make a whole new channel, anything. This is basically like Live Aid for motorsport. Bob Geldof needs to be swearing on breakfast television in the morning to get this deal made. Next question is, of course, how will Alonso do? He's a fantastic driver, but the Indy 500, let's get this straight, is fucking terrifying. It's like shit yourself crazy. It's really dangerous. And they will want him to come and win and make it look easy, because Formula One has a habit of showing the world how piss easy IndyCar is. Nigel Mansell walked the floor with them. They're not going to want a repeat of that. And could he get the triple? Only Graham Hill has won the Monaco Grand Prix, Le Mans and Indy 500. If Alonso doesn't win at Indy, then when we have another go? What if the McLaren is good next year? Sorry, I had a thing there saying, what if the McLaren's good next year? Like, I'm just cracking up a bit at the thought. Anyway, don't worry. And Button is back. He's not going to do any testing because really, why waste a day when he's going to retire within a couple of laps? It's a shame there couldn't be some kind of IndyCar exchange program, but really, who'd want to pass up the 500 in order to get a terrible car at an unforgiving circuit? But don't worry, I have a solution. Well, actually, it's not a solution this week. It's a debate, a wish list of what could be. Let me dream. What I really want, and have always wanted, is true cross-promotion of the heroes of various motorsport classes around the world. Why not have a top Indy driver do a couple of F1 races? An F1 team entering a car for Le Mans? Why can't they get half the field over to Indy next year, make it an official Formula One championship race, even bring good tyres this time? The Race of Champions is a great one-off, if niche, sexy, neck-hurting event. What if the rest of motorsport could be like this for key races in each series? F1 drivers at the Indy 500, Indy and LMP drivers at the British Grand Prix, Joyless Palmer being last at a MotoGP race. Let's make this new world. We need the fucking drivers. Nay! That's my Bob Geldof impression.
That's very good.
Thanks.
I think these are all very interesting solutions, and it sort of used to be like that.
I know.
F1 back in the day wasn't just the same drivers at every race. If you were in South Africa, there'd be a few South African racers coming along and having a go on their own turf and all this kind of stuff. I'd really like to see that back, but that might be a step too far at the moment. We've had F1 drivers go to Indy before, and let's not forget, last year, racing for the same team that Alonso's going to be racing for, Andretti, with a Honda engine, winning it in his rookie year was another F1 driver.
He could win it.
Well, if Alexander Rossi can win it, which he did last year,
yeah.
Admittedly, Rossi had a bit more practice and done a couple of races before, but I mean, if anyone can do it, Alonso can do it.
But Scott Somerville, a keen listener, asked, is Alonso going to have enough time to learn the Indy track?
It is quite a technical...
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest worry.
I mean, from memory, it's left,
straight a bit,
and then I think there's a left, and then right at the end, just before you come back on.
No.
That is it from us. It is goodbye to Phill Tromans.
Goodbye. We haven't had time to talk about Bernie Eccleston.
Yeah.
He's not going away. He was at Bahrain.
Fortunately, he's not bitter, though.
No, not at all. He basically said that the current owners don't care about him, don't need anything from him anymore, don't like him.
And they can all die.
He's sort of hands in pockets kicking stones around the paddock in Bahrain.
And to Terry Saunders.
Well, we don't have time to talk about Malaysian Grand Prix is disappearing next year. They're saying it's not going to happen. And they're also saying the Turkish Grand Prix might come back.
I think that's good. I mean,
turn 8.
We've had a few good Sepang races, but it's not one I'm massively going to miss.
like
They've kind of
it.
got all their publicity out of it,
Yeah.
and they've still got MotoGP. And Turkey's a really good track.
Yep.
We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to discuss the Russian Grand Prix if, and it is a big if, there hasn't been a nuclear Armageddon. However, if there is a nuclear Armageddon, I reckon maybe we could review it over a few pints in a bunker.
That'd be great if I could just be sarky about it. That A-bomb was just shit.
Not as bad as Parma, but...
In the meantime, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/for F1's sake, and you can follow us on Twitter @for F1's sake. And hey, maybe you'd like to support us financially so that we can get a small yacht for Monaco.
Small?
Large. I just said small, to try and seem
Think
modest.
big.
You can just send us money, that's fine. But we also have some awesome FF1S merch, which will brighten up any torso or mug cupboard. Terry, where can we get such great stuff?
ff1s.com/shop.
Thank you.
Spelled like shop.
Please tell your friends about the podcast and leave us a review, preferably good, on iTunes. It really helps us out. I've been Cheeka. Goodbye.
Ta-ta.
Goodbye.